Alrighty, well, good morning there, everybody. John here, back again, once again, Crypto Top 10. Talk to you about some of the trending articles in the crypto news space. As always, off the rip, thanks to all of you who have subscribed, and there is a link down in the description that you can follow so you can read up on all these articles for yourself. So with that being said, let's hop right on in. We're talking about Uniswap first up, and their first governance proposal failed. Womp womp. So, the first governance proposal for decentralized exchange Uniswap has ended in failure, despite the proposal attracting an overwhelming support of 98% of the votes cast. Despite this, it fell roughly 1% short of the 40 million vote threshold needed for approval by the close. So the poll ended earlier today with almost 39.6 million uni staked in favor compared to about 700,000 opposed. DeFi blogger Danger Safety Third Zhang described the vote as the DeFi equivalent of winning the popular vote but losing the Electoral College. Funny. Alrighty, so ironically, the proposal sought to reduce the number of tokens needed to submit and pass proposals. It was put forward by open source lending platform and major uni token holder Dharma. So, yeah, they were trying to reduce it to 30 million, I believe. So, it definitely would have passed if they had done it. So, currently, proposals can only be made by entities holding at least 1% of Uni's circulating supply. About 10 million Uni. Kind of a lot. And they need to surpass 40 million total votes to pass. Now, Dharma's recommendations would lower the threshold so that holders need at least 3 million Uni instead of 1%, so decreasing it by 30-some percent, or 30-some percent, 60-some percent. Not horrible. Uni they'd be able to suggest upgrades and only require 30 million of supporting votes for proposal to pass. I'm assuming you would have to get 30 million and the majority in the vote, but I don't know that for a fact. Responding to the vote's conclusion, Dharma CEO and co-founder Nadav Holander described the result as a disappointing outcome that demonstrates the impetus for the proposal in the first place. Some onlookers did hail the vote as a success, however, with crypto developer Augustine Aguilar arguing that voter abstinence should be understood as a barometer of opposition to the proposal. I actually disagree with that. While I'm sure it could have been very well that 20 million votes abstained, I highly doubt that the majority of those voting who abstained were, or could have voted and abstained, were all no's. Some people were probably yeses who didn't understand or didn't think they needed to vote because the proposal seemed so popular, so they didn't spend their time. We've seen that before. But still, it's pretty interesting that Uniswap's very first governance vote failed despite having a large amount of support. While that doesn't signify anything like crazy, like the protocol's going to collapse or anything, it does make it seem like they might not have thought this all the way through before putting it out there. But, that's just me. What do I know? All right, well, hey, let's hop on down over here and talk about Chainlink popping up in the news. So, in a press release, the Associated Press, further hereafter referred to as AP, and blockchain company Everpedia, announced their new partnership. The goal will be to use a new product that leverages Chainlink to publish U.S. election results on the blockchain. The partners emphasized the need to help create verifiable sources of information. Very true. Especially in this particular presidential election, there's a lot of back and forth. So getting stuff verified on the blockchain be a nice way to cut down on any accusations of fraud or misrepresentation. AP has been a part of the U.S. election process since 1848 at the national level, and they do a lot. They do a lot of work on the back end for publicizing the winner and all those different things. So it's going to be interesting to see. The AP will sign the data cryptographically and broadcast the key on Everpedia's official channel, according to the release. So it's pretty cool. According to Dwayne Desaulniers, the AP's director of data licensing, AP is the gold standard in counting the vote and declaring election winners. We are pleased to work with Everpedia to use our race calls in this innovative way. It is pretty interesting. The product that's been developed by Everpedia is an Oracle as a service platform called Everpedia Oracle. It's been created to solve the problem of oracles on the blockchain. Therefore, its users, sources, cryptographically signed by worldwide organizations. According to the statement, the platform will run on Chainlink's Oracle service. So their use of these cryptographic attestations made by verifiable entities so that the information can be processed directly to the blockchain and used in smart contracts. So basically they're using Chainlink to increase the efficiency of things. All in all, this is a really interesting project, and I'm going to keep my eye on it throughout the election results. It is by no means perfect as of yet. It's just taking the data that the Associated Press pushes on the blockchain. There's a lot of different things that need to go along before we can say that an election has been verified on the blockchain from start to finish, but it's an interesting first step, and it bodes pretty well for the future, if you ask me. So let's hop on over and talk about Cardano and Litecoin. So back in July, we talked about the fact that good old Hoskinson and Charlie Lee had talked on Twitter about doing something together between the two coins. It's an interesting idea, and there are actually several possible application models which are discussed in detail in a new article by Litecoin Foundation Director David Schwartz. So Schwartz explains that Cardano and Litecoin could unlock new features through what is called a velvet fork, and that the participation of the miners in the network is completely voluntary. This could improve cross-chain communication and smart contract compatibility and scalability in the long term. Now, what's a velvet fork, you ask? Well, I'm getting to that, and I actually found it pretty interesting. I rather like it. So, a velvet fork is neither a hard nor a soft fork. With the velvet fork, new code is added to the base, similar to a protocol upgrade, but no majority consensus is required. All miners on the network can continue to work as normal, regardless of whether or not they've implemented the upgrade. They can decide for themselves whether they want to participate, and that to me is really interesting. You don't have to upgrade, but if you want to participate in this, you can. I feel like most miners would end up just upgrading to it, especially if it doesn't really affect anything. They might not do it like right off the rip, but the next time there is a bigger upgrade that they actually need to upgrade to, they might add that code in as well. It's pretty interesting. So these velvet forks will they can be used by other projects. So this isn't just like something specific to Cardano or Litecoin. Due to their flexible deployment, they offer a practical tool for implementing protocol upgrades without having to achieve majority consensus. According to Schwartz, the scope of the application is not limited to Litecoin or Cardano, but the entire ecosystem of cryptocurrencies can benefit in the long run. I really like this idea. It allows them to do their thing, and if you're on Cardano or on Litecoin and you don't want to participate, well, you don't have to, and it doesn't hurt you at all, but the fact that they're talking, I think, will help both in the long term. So very interesting, very, very cool. Like, I really like it. I can't stop saying how much I like it. I'm very interested to see where this goes for them. Alrighty, let's hop on over to Grayscale. So Grayscale, which is a digital currency investing firm and one of the largest, it exposes traditional investors to cryptocurrency assets, is having a pretty lackluster October after bringing in $1 billion worth of investments from July to September. I wouldn't panic just yet. So exchange-traded products, or ETPs, which is what Grayscale's investment trusts are, they are investments whose prices go up and down depending on the value of the underlying product, cryptos in this case. They're popular with investors who want exposure to the asset but don't want to be responsible for owning or storing it, which is what a lot of traditional large investors are at right now. That's where they're at right now with crypto. They might not understand it. They might be 65 years old, and all they're looking at is the Bitcoin price chart being like, well, I should probably diversify, but I don't know what that is. And there you go. Yeah, Grayscale's one of the biggest one. So Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust and Ethereum Trust logged a 3% and 3.4% gains over the 30-day period, which Bitcoin's 3% is underperforming the market. The Ethereum Trust does outperform it, but the issue comes with Grayscale's diversified product. The Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund, which is tied to the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin, experienced a almost 20% loss. Unlike the single asset trust, the Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund uses a rules-based portfolio construction process, meaning that its allocation percentages shift. They actually have a nice little chart down here for those of you who can see of all the different investment trusts that they have. It's kind of interesting. The GDLC is down almost 20%. The Ethereum Classic is down 17.6%. That kind of makes sense to me. This is just a snapshot of a pretty short time frame for Grayscale, so I wouldn't panic just yet. Grayscale did buy up, they were buying up more Bitcoin than what was being mined for like 2 or 3 months, and they're still buying up large amounts of it. So really, to me, all this is, when you rise that high, you're going to have some pullback sometimes. Like, it's going to happen. So I would not panic if I was anyone who likes Grayscale, or if you watch this channel and you're rich enough to invest in Grayscale, send me something. Jeez. All right. Well, in some other news, Filecoin has some a little bit of back and forth going on. So Juan Benet, the creator of Filecoin, has called allegations that miners of its token have been on strike since last week nonsense. Oh man, it's always something in the crypto space. Filecoin just launched after like 3 years. Oh man. So according to a report by 8btc.com, 5 of the largest Filecoin miners turned off thousands of rigs to protest the platform's economic model. Under this system, miners are required to stake Filecoin tokens as collateral when producing a block. However, many of them are apparently coming up short in the number of tokens needed. Crypto Twitter user Nico Diva, he's a diva, was one of the first to claim that a majority of miners were on strike following allegations that they needed to buy Filecoin tokens to take advantage of the mining capacity. And he was quoted as saying, "A napkin calculation shows you early on that the mining system requires 20k hardware, also forces you to buy more coins." So Benet shot back on Twitter, stating that this was not the case. However, stating that miners are simply producing blocks at a slower rate. He claimed the project recommended that many miners, quote, slow down growth rate to match their token flow or pause until they can afford to grow steady, unquote. So some of the miners' growth decreases from following our advice, he said. He showed data claiming blocks were still being produced, with the top miner bringing in $352,000 within 24 hours, and the top 50 reportedly earning $3.7 million worth of rewards. He stated that adding capacity to the network was pretty hard right now. I mean, the platform's mainnet only launched last week. It shot up 118% in less than 2 days before dropping back about 80%. So it's still up a decent amount. And it shows that its coin market cap shows that it's trading at $34.79. Look, at the end of the day, there are probably some miners who are upset that they can't grow as fast as they'd like, or if they want to grow that fast, they also have to buy up Filecoin off the market when they're already making an investment into their computers. That I get. To try to say that they're turning them off and they're protesting, I'm sure a few are, but it's not a large strike. Especially, I lean towards Benet because he was able to come up with data showing that, no, plenty of people are still mining big stuff. I mean, if there's the number one miner out there is the one who's angry and he's turned his off, well, that represents an outsized, it looks like a large chunk of people, but it's really just one person turning it off. Filecoin definitely has an interesting structure. I don't know if I like that. I like the idea of having to also stake when you mine. It just adds extra security to the network, but the thought that it puts an artificial cap on what you can do, it kind of rankles, but it is what it is. That's how they've got their system set up. If there's friction to this, the correct answer is figure out how to change it with a governance proposal instead of just turning off your miners and losing out on your income. Just my opinion, All right. So, an interesting bit of news. Hackers are donating Bitcoin. So, what seems to be a case of black hat hackers masquerading as internet self-professed Robin Hoods, two charitable organizations have received mysterious Bitcoin donations from a cyber criminal group. The generous gesture, I wouldn't call it generous, is worth 0.88 Bitcoin, or around $10,000, with the donating hackers wanting to, quote, make the world a better place. So this altruistic act of benevolence coming from online perpetrators has left cybercrime experts puzzled. And why not? The Robin Hood-esque act is a first, and doesn't it all follow the MO pattern of dark side hackers? Dark side, oh my god. Maybe dark hat? I don't know. Dark side sounds too Star Warsy. So basically they donated 0.88 Bitcoin to the Children International and the Water Project. Look, they donated less than 2 Bitcoin when crypto scammers and hackers and ransomware dumpers have just utterly taken, hundreds upon millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and other cryptos. It's meant to puzzle. The Children's International has expressed objection towards this donation and said they will not accept it. Speaking to the BBC, a spokesman representing the nonprofit said, if the donation is linked to a hacker, we have no intention of keeping it, which I think is the right move. Get that back to the person who actually owned it in the first place, and if they want to donate it, that's fine. For experts like Brett Callow, the act of hacker benevolence doesn't add up. I still think that's the point. He says that the concrete motivation for slipping a part of ransomware bounty to charities is not clear at all. The intentions of the hackers behind this act are equivocal and unusual. I don't think so. You feel guilty. I'm donating to a charity. I'm doing something good. I did a good thing. It makes you feel like a good person. I think that's all it is. Someone felt guilty about the $200,000 they stole, so they tithed 10% of it back to some charitable organizations so they can sleep better at night. That's all they did. Whatever. Alrighty. Then to kind of wrap things up, let's talk about Bitcoin just a little bit. So Wall Street veteran, I'm a Wall Street veteran if you want to get serious, but and crypto strategist Tone Vays believes that Bitcoin is likely on the verge of a breakout as Bitcoin flashes bullish signals on multiple different time frames. If you get close to a new weekly close high right now around 12K, this is a very bullish sign. It means that we have the highest close in 3 years, and it would be the highest close since January 8 of 2018. This also means that on a weekly scale, we have only been 6 weeks that would have closed higher in the history of Bitcoin. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. Incredible. I just glanced at the daily chart. The last time I did this video was like 3 or 4 days ago, and I put in this little channel. This was my breakout line at 11,550. We broke that this morning. Another green star. Everything is lining up right now. The weekly, the daily. I'm loving this, man. I think we're ready for that breakout. Cool. I'd love a good breakout. While Vays is bullish on this largest cryptocurrency, another prominent trader does note that Bitcoin's historical price action and a pullback in the stock market may not bode well in the short term, but hey, it's that long term we're all looking at, right? People are excited. The stars seem to be lining up similarly to 2017. However, I do definitely want to caution everyone. If everyone is comparing it to 2017, does this then become a case of the prophecy fulfilling itself because we all think it, we're all acting like it, it happens? Or because we all think it and we're acting like it, enough people are able to run counter and short it, and they make the money as we all fail? Just something to think about. I don't really know. I'm excited. I hope it's the first one. I could use the bump. There's going to be some uncertainty surrounding this election in the United States that's coming up. So any huge dips you see from that, I would definitely buy, in my personal opinion. Panics tend to be great ways to get assets at a discount. It's just my opinion. So that being said, that does it for the trending articles in the crypto news space. Let's take a look at the top 10 cryptocurrencies by market cap. Ooh, Cardano's back at number 9. Litecoin's at 10. Look at that. Bitcoin SV pushed back out at number 10 where it belongs. Get down there with that trash. Bitcoin is actually the top performing asset right now. It's sitting at 11,863 and 41 cents. It's doing a little boop, boop. I'm super excited. If we can clear 12K, I think that's where the fun begins, or I hope that's where the fun begins. And the biggest loser is actually Cardano on the day. It's down 4.18%, still sitting at over 10 cents. It's had a pretty straight drop down. Kind of interesting to see. I'll have to do some research and see why, because I did not see any articles. In terms of top performing asset on the day, that would be Flexicoin, up 226%. I don't know what in the world's going on with that, but it's up 182% on the week, so good for them. Next closest coin is Dash, which is only up 10%. And the biggest loser is Arweave, down 10.9 on the day and almost 43% on the week. So that does it. As always, my name is John. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that little button wherever it is. That way you can hear from me on the daily. Without that, got anything else for you? I love y'all, I guess. I don't know. Peace.